It's
Hello
all
and welcome to our program today, Achieving Greatness. This is the fourth class of our four-part series. Hello, welcome. And we are so happy to have you back again as we are coming to an extremely important class. I know I've said that for each and every class. Tonight, this afternoon, your
oh,
time, it's
my God.
extremely important because we're going to put it all together. And I would like to show you in the next hour, if I can succeed, I would like to show you that when we find our purpose in life and we find our strengths and we are able to channel them into exactly the lives that we are trying to live, then what will take place as a result is the elimination of envy. This is an incredible idea because you might have thought, envy, where's that coming from? We haven't talked about envy at all. Hello, Gail, welcome. So lovely to see you. We haven't talked about envy. We've been talking about achieving one's personal life fulfillment. And what I want to argue is that by the end of the class, hopefully today, you will see that the two are two halves of the same coin. If a person knows who they are and lives a life of fulfillment and meaning, and we spoke in the last few classes that what that means is that they are able to channel what they're good at combined with what needs to get done, then you will stop looking at other people's lives and saying, I wish I had their talents, I wish I had their skills, I wish I had their life. No, you'll be living your best life. You won't ever be looking at anyone else's life ever again. The result of this is it eliminates envy. It's an amazing idea. It's an amazing idea. And without any further to do, let's jump into our source sheet. And I'm going to try and get through the entirety of this source sheet today. Okay. We start off, I have 6 pages. We're going to finish, don't worry. We're going to get through all of this. We have 6 pages, and we begin with Shlomo Volbe, an author and a speaker that you've seen me quote a number of times. This was a contemporary. He died perhaps 20 years ago. He was European. He ended up living in Jerusalem, and he wrote a 2-volume book called Alei Shur, Alei Shur, and he says very, very simply that one's life doesn't take place, one's Jewish life, one's spiritual life doesn't take place in the synagogue. If I would ask 9 out of 10 people, where do you encounter God? The first place they might say, not you, of course, you've been taking this course with me, you're sophisticated thinkers by now, but 9 out of 10 people would say in shul or in synagogue, or that's where you live a Jewish life. Look what he says.
No, where you let him. You meet the God where you let him. God is everywhere.
Oh, of course, Irene. I know you're going to say that. That's because you're an expert already. But let us take a look at some of the sources, and they're going to say what you just said, Irene. You're right. You're absolutely right. Source number 1, Rabbi Shlomo Volbe from Alei Shur. The sages relate that the biblical figure Hanoch was a shoemaker. Okay, I don't know if you're familiar with Hanoch, very minor figure in the Bible. He was a shoemaker. And over every stitch that he sewed in a pair of shoes, he would perform unifications of the heavenly realms. What are unifications of the heavenly realms? That sounds like very mystical language. It means that every stitch that he would make in his shoes, he would fix a little piece of heaven. How do you fix a little piece of heaven? By making a pair of shoes. Rabbi Israel Salanta explained what form these unifications took. Hanoch invested careful thought and intent into each stitch. His intention was that each stitch go toward creating a comfortable and sturdy shoe so that the owner would be able to get the maximum benefit out of it. When an individual infuses loving kindness and love of other human beings into their work, this is the greatest form of unifications. This is the greatest form of being able to fix a little piece of heaven. Now, I want to plug this into your lives. I don't know how many of you are shoemakers, so maybe. But let's say you're not a shoemaker. Let's say you're in a university administrator, for example. Let's say that you are whatever you might do. Or let's say you're not currently employed. Perhaps you don't have a vocation, a career. Perhaps you're retired. Whatever the case may be, all of us are going about our days performing certain tasks, performing certain needs that need to get fulfilled, whether it's mending shoes or pouring a cup of coffee, making somebody breakfast. How much love can you pour into making somebody a cup of tea? I want to share with you that I don't think there's a greater expression of love than making somebody a cup of tea. Now, I'm using that as an example because I'm English, right? We drink tea, but I'll say coffee as well. But you know what happens? You know what happens? It's late, it's the evening, and you, if you're blessed to have a partner, a spouse, someone you care about, and you think to yourself, you know what? Maybe they would like a cup of tea or a scotch. I mean, fill in the blanks, whatever, right? And you, without asking, you just go and you make a cup of tea or you pour them a drink and you bring over a drink and you say, here, would you like a cup of tea? I made you a cup of tea. It's so small a gesture. It's so small, right? What's a tea bag? A few pennies. Hot water doesn't cost you much at all. But that gesture is infused, if you excuse the pun, talking about tea, it's infused with loving kindness. You've poured a part of your very self into that cup of tea. And when you give that to somebody, they cannot but help but feel loved. That changes the world. And you might say, come on, like there's still a war raging in Israel. There's still an awful world outside my window every time I look outside. You're right. But it also changes the world because in the inner mindset and heart of that individual, you've made the most tremendous difference that could possibly be made. That person now feels loved. That goes so far. That goes so far. And Rabbi Dessler, individual who started in Europe, made his career in England, and then finished his life in Bnei Brak. He writes the following in Source 2. Every moment in the life of every creature facilitates a unique revelation of godliness. I'll say that again. That's a very, very big statement. Listen carefully. Every moment in the life of every creature facilitates a unique revelation of godliness. Whatever is going on, whatever is happening at every single moment, what you do, how you behave, you're expressing another aspect of God in this world. And this is the idea, he goes on to say, behind the concept mentioned in our daily prayers. Because if you look at our daily prayers, I'll read the Hebrew for this. Tell me if this sounds familiar. It says the following, that God, hamachadesh b'chol yom tamid ma'aseh bereshit. Say that again. Hamachadesh b'chol yom tamid ma'aseh bereshit. Each day, constantly, God renews creation. Does that sound familiar? It's a beautiful idea. And the idea Rabbi Dessler is arguing is that shekol rega olam acher chadash hu. Each moment is a self-contained universe. We are creating a new world. How amazing is that? We are creating a new world. Each and every moment that we're able to have that expression of ourselves. Okay, I want to go further, okay, because this is a picture. We're putting the pieces together. I want to go further. Number 3. In God's world, there is nothing or no type of pursuit that is devoid of holiness. Wherever refined character traits, kindness, and love of fellow can be found, the work being done is elevated to the level of divine service. Let's think about this for a second. There's nothing and no type of pursuit that's devoid of holiness. You might be waiting in line. I give this example the whole time because it's the example that speaks to me. I've told you know my secrets by now. When I'm going through these classes, I tell you I have no patience. I can't wait in line at the supermarket. If there's two people in front of me, this happened. Hang on a second. In our lives, every moment is an opportunity to express godliness, to express goodness in this world. And the key to understanding this is that no one else could possibly notice. If I'm waiting in line, imagine I'm waiting in line and I'm patiently waiting in line, at least on the outside. Has anyone noticed the internal raging battle that's taking place within me as I'm impatient because I want to get to the front? And yet that patience of waiting is an incredible achievement. Yes, question. You had your hand up. Were you asking, was that a hand up or did I mistakenly think that was a hand up? No? Okay, no question. All right, let's keep going. And here we come to an incredibly important point, which is one's vocation. Okay? One's vocation. Look what he says. Each vocation, can you see it? Let me make it a bit bigger. Each vocation brings its own store of challenges, whether it be the temptation to overcharge or underpay, the difficulty of always keeping one's word, making sure to avoid selling forbidden things or avoiding unacceptable business tactics, etc. Each vocation has its own challenges. When a person encounters such a situation, they must know that this is their mission, to rise to the occasion. And here we have an amazing, amazing idea. God is not encountered only in shul. Religion is not something expressed in synagogue, but rather at every step of our lives, even perhaps during our working business hours. There are opportunities to do the right thing. There are opportunities to do the right thing. We are encountering spirituality at that very moment. Now, you might think, just because I don't scream at somebody in my store, I'm encountering God. Just because I've been patiently waiting in line, I'm encountering God. Yes. Yes, the greatest mistake we ever made was thinking we know what holiness is and where we find it and what it looks like. If I was to say to you the word holiness, most of, not you, because you're experts again, you've been learning this with me, but 9 out of 10 people will think of meditation on a mountaintop somewhere, maybe a pious, wise individual. That's holy, right? No, Judaism is so much more grounded, down to earth, so much more ordinary, so much more normal. In every aspect of our lives, there's an opportunity for us to fulfill our mission. Rabbi Nosson Zvi Finkel, the elder of Slobodka, we are going back maybe 200 years. Lithuania. Look at what he writes. Many people think that service of God and fear of heaven are restricted to specific actions at specific times, such as religious ritual, Torah study, prayer. Thus, when someone finds themselves outside of a formal Torah context, they feel empty or distanced from God. But one must ask themselves the following question. Since, after all, the world is filled by God's presence, this means that one's every action is done in the presence of God. Everything in the world is directly dependent upon God's will for its very existence, and everything that happens is under God's direct supervision. That being the case, how is it conceivable that there can be any area of life which is devoid of the potential for fulfilling God's will? Every moment, at every given point, in any circumstance in this world, there's an opportunity of potential for spirituality, potential to fulfill God's will. And he gives a proof, actually, to this point from a section of the Talmud. Follow me into the Talmud. This is amazing, amazing proof. Again, his contention is at every given moment, a person has an opportunity to fulfill potential and fulfill God's will. Look at the example he gives. He gives two examples. This is incredible, incredible. Now, in order to explain this, I have to give a bit of background. We start with the words that Dr. Abba used to receive a greeting from the Heavenly Academy every day. Okay, what does that mean? What does that mean? It's a fascinating idea. There was a doctor who lived in the time of the Talmud, and he was a holy man. He was a pious man. And every day, as he would set out and leave his home and go to his work, a voice would come down from heaven and say, "Shalom, doctor." And he would get his own personal greeting. Wouldn't that be nice? Could you imagine if you got your own little shalom from heaven each morning? You leave the day, you open the door, take a deep breath. Okay, what is this world going to greet me with this morning? And shalom. Hello, welcome, peace. Wouldn't that be incredible? And this doctor, he wasn't a rabbi, he wasn't a big sage, he wasn't a scholar, he was a doctor. He got that greeting. Now, what happened? As you can imagine, one of the great rabbis that heard about this got a little bit upset. Where's my hello every single morning from heaven? Aren't I doing the right thing? Aren't I a big rabbi? Aren't I pious and holy? And look how the Talmud goes on. Okay, with that introduction, Abaye, this is the name of the rabbi. His name was Abaye. Abaye, he was actually the leader of the generation. He wasn't just the rabbi, he was the leading scholar of the generation. He would receive such a greeting only once a week before Shabbat. Wow. Can you imagine? What am I? Like chopped liver? What is this? What's going on? Where's my shalom every morning? It's Friday afternoon on Erev Shabbat. That's when I get my shalom. I want more than just once a week. And Abaye was distressed by this state of affairs. Is this not an amazing passage of Talmud? Look at what it goes on to say. He was informed from heaven. He obviously had some type of direct line there. That's pretty impressive. So heaven informs him, you are not capable of doing the sort of things that he does. Amazing. You know why Dr. Abba gets a regular daily morning shalom? Because he does something incredible. And you, Abaye, the great rabbi of the whole generation, you can't reach his level. You don't get to do the things he does. What was Dr. Abba's routine, you might ask? The Gemara, the Talmud says, when he would practice medicine, he would have the men and women sit separately. When he would treat a woman, he had a special cloak that had a hole in it through which he would treat the affected area so the woman would not have to be undressed in his presence. He had a special box in a private place into which anyone who wanted could place payment, but someone who couldn't afford to would not have to. And when a student of Torah would come for treatment, he would refuse payment. And he would even give him some money and tell him, use this to recover fully. Amazing. Amazing. What did this doctor do? He had a sense of privacy and discretion that he wanted so that no one should feel uncomfortable. He saw men and women separately. He had a very advanced form of a cloak with a hole in it. Even today, when we perform surgeries, we know that we cover up the patient's body. We just expose the area in which the surgery is going to. He didn't want anyone to have to get undressed who was uncomfortable. He respected people's privacy, perhaps a sense of maybe embarrassment that would take place. He didn't force anyone to pay that didn't have the means. This was a simple doctor. And yet he took his vocation and was able to say, let me think about another human being. Let me put my head space into somebody else's emotions, into their world. Let me try and be empathetic. That's what he did. That's what he did. I want you to feel the enormity of this. He showed empathy. That was such an enormous quality and trait. And he lived his life with this practice that it was so special, heaven came down every morning and wished him good morning. That's what it means to show empathy. Wouldn't it be incredible if people showed us empathy? Wouldn't you love it if somebody, for those of you, whether you're working or not, I was going to say you go to work and you're greeted, or if you imagine your boss says, good morning, and looks into your eyes. How are you? Did you have a good night's sleep? How do you feel today? Are you feeling rested? Are you feeling well? Like, tell me, are you worried about anything? How's your anxiety? How do you feel about the world? Do you feel good? How do you feel about yourself? Know that I care about you. Know that I want the best for you. I believe in you. I think you're incredible. And I know you're going to do a great day's work today. If you need anything, I'm here and I'm always ready to support you. Forget boss. Imagine someone in your family looked into your eyes and said those words to you. How are you today? I care about you. I'm thinking of you. That show of it, would that not be everything? Would that not be everything to us? Of course it would. Someone cares about me. Someone loves me. Someone's thinking about my well-being. Someone's actually interested in how I feel. That empathy makes us stand tall. And the Talmud recognizes it. And it says there was a doctor that had such empathy, and heaven was so blown away by such a human being, it wanted to make sure it gave him a big shalom, a big hello, good morning, every single day. Isn't that inspirational? And that was his fulfillment of his life's mission. Just being thoughtful about someone else. But it gets better. If you think that's good, oh my gosh, are you in for a treat? The same passage of Talmud, it gets better. Listen to this. Rabbi Baroka, new character, new name. Rabbi Baroka. Rabbi Baroka would often pass through the market of Left. This is the name of the market. It sounds like right or left. It happens to be an awkward name translated into English, but Left was the name of the market. He was visited frequently by Elijah the prophet. Amazing, right? Can you imagine? Eliyahu Hanavi, Elijah the prophet, would come to this Rabbi Baroka as he was passing through the marketplace. Rabbi Baroka asked him, is there anyone in this marketplace who is especially worthy of eternal life? Isn't that an interesting question? Right? Because Elijah the prophet seemingly lives in heaven, is this mysterious, mystical creature, Elijah the prophet, and he knows what's going on, and he has an inside line, the inside scoop to heaven and everybody. So Elijah answered the man in the negative, and he turned to Rabbi Baroka and he said, no, there's no one here that's particularly worthy of going up to heaven, of having eternal life. Isn't that an amazing answer? Suddenly, a person entered the marketplace and Elijah pointed to him saying, ah, this man, This man is worthy of eternal life. This man is going straight to heaven. Rabbi Baroka ran after the man and asked him, "What do you do?" The man answered, "I am a prison warden, and I make sure that the men and women are incarcerated separately." Fascinating. A prison warden. If I was to say to you, a prison warden, do you think that that's a particularly spiritual vocation? Would you think such a person would be the top of your list as an individual who would be going straight to heaven because of how they live their life? And yet he says, I make sure the men and women are incarcerated separately. I'm trying to protect people from being attacked, hurt, or worse. Soon afterward, another 2 men passed by. Elijah remarked, "These men are also worthy of eternal life." Rabbi Baroka approached them and inquired of them, "What do you do?" "We are happy people," they replied. "We cheer up people who are sad, and when we see people quarreling, we try hard to make peace between them." If I was to translate the Aramaic, when he says, "What do you do?" You know what the actual Aramaic is? Inshi baduchi anan. It's not "we are happy people." You know what that actually means? We are comedians, or we are court jesters. Wow. You are comedians, and all you do is cheer people up who are sad? Yeah. And when we see people having an argument, we try and make peace between them. And Elijah the prophet says, you want to know who is an exceptional human being, who's at the top of the peak of spirituality in this world, that's going straight to heaven? It's those 2 comedians over there. First of all, this is every comedian's favorite passage of Talmud. And secondly, the power of a gentle word that brings a smile to someone's lips. You know, there's gentle humor. Obviously, there's like inappropriate humor, but there's gentle humor. You just make a gentle joke, or you say something that's cute in passing, and it makes a person smile. It makes them have a small laugh. Those people were going straight to heaven. Again, we don't think of it this way. If I said spirituality, if I said religious, if I said, you know, a person that's serving God, you would say, well, they're in shul, they've got tefillin on, they're keeping kosher, or they're I don't know, they're praying. Stop thinking like that. That's not what we're talking about. That's not what we're talking about. Spirituality, serving God, fulfilling one's potential, it could be as small. Of course, it's the largest thing in the world, but it could be as small as making somebody else laugh. You make someone else laugh, you brightened up someone's day. You put a smile on someone's face. That's everything, says the Talmud. Elijah the prophet says those people, those are the types of people that go straight to heaven. Yeah, you saw someone have a fight, you saw someone quarreling, you're trying to make shalom, you're trying to make peace between them. Those are the types of individuals that are the best of us. Those are the greatest individuals of all. That's where fulfilling one's true calling and potential really lies. That's where it exists. That's where you can find it. To bring out the best in another human being, to take away someone's sorrow, to take away the feelings of being down or sad because they had a fight with somebody. Such a radically different way of looking at Judaism and spirituality, right? And this is the Talmud. This is the Talmud. Okay, story time. Are you sitting comfortably? Story time. Because what goes along with leading your best life is lack of envy. This is a beautiful story taken from Rabbi Abraham Twersky in his book, Do Unto Others. Okay, it's a beautiful story. Listen to the following Hasidic story. Rabbi Meir of Przemyslan. This is going back 300 years, Poland, to the Hasidic world. Rabbi Meir of Przemyslan once heard the complaint of a congregant who worried that another retailer had opened a store in competition with him. Said the rabbi to the congregant, "Did you ever watch a horse drink from a stream? You'll notice that he taps with his hoof while drinking." Listen to the genius in this. This is so powerful. The horse sees his reflection in the water and thinks that there is another horse there that will drink all the water, and there will be none left for him. Therefore, he taps with his hoof in an attempt to scare the other horse away. Don't be like the horse. There is enough in the world for both you and your competitor, and he will not take away what is destined for you. After this, the storekeeper gave help, tips, and advice to the other retailer, and both of them prospered. Each store, as is often the case, fueling the other. You know, as I was thinking about that story, I had the following observation. You let me know maybe if you thought of something else besides what I'm going to share with you. You know what happens when a horse is tapping its hoof into the water? It's not just attempting to scare away its reflection that it thinks is another horse who's in competition with it. You know what's also happening when the horse is tapping its hoof into the water? It's making the waters muddy. And the very water the horse is drinking is interrupted from being still and clear and now becomes muddy. In the process of trying to scare away that which we believe is competition to us, and now please read between the lines, scaring away that which we believe is competition, those we're envious of, trying to fight those we're envious of, trying to be in competition with those we have envy with. What ends up happening is that that which we were already drinking from becomes muddied. It's an incredible additional insight that I was thinking about when I read that story. Okay, stay with me. This is incredible. Again, I brought this to your attention last time, Rabbi Akiva Tatz, with a horribly titled book, The Thinking Jewish Teenager's Guide to Life. Do you remember that book? And I said, brilliant book, but terrible title, because if you're not a teenager, you're going to feel strange buying such a book. Buy the book anyway, read the book, even though it's got a clumsy title. Look at what Rabbi Tatz says. He's a contemporary. If you think you lack the tools you need for life, you are wrong. You are mistaken either because you have those tools, but are simply unaware of them, or you are mistaken about your task in life. You have the tools you need to fulfill your role, but you are pursuing the wrong role. The role you imagine to be yours is in fact someone else's. In other words, you are unaware of your tools or you are unaware of your role. Let's just stop there. That is everything. If you're thinking you don't have the tools, you're either unaware of your tools or you're unaware of your role. You with me?
Yeah.
You need to do some serious work to discover exactly the nature of your tools. And to discover them, nothing has been given to you to be wasted. Discover all of them. And you need to do some serious work to discover your role. Stop longing for someone else's role and get busy finding yours. Friends, this is the most important line Stop longing for someone else's role. Get busy finding yours. That is so important, a line. Put that on your fridge. Again,
Stop what? Stop.
stop longing. I've highlighted the line. I'll make it larger. Stop longing for someone else's role and get busy finding yours. Again, the tools match the job exactly. We understand that the one who creates the whole enterprise gives every individual exactly what he or she needs to carry out the work that's necessary. And with a grasp of your unique task, if you've ever felt jealous of anyone who has gifts or talents that you wish you had, you will lose that jealousy. If they've been given those talents, it's only because they need them for their role. If you don't have those particular gifts, it's because you don't need them. You've been given the tools you need. You could not use someone else's tools because they are irrelevant to your life's purpose. That person needs them. You do not. This is a very big fundamental of our lives. When you look at someone else's talents, they've got a lovely voice. Let's just go simple with an example. They've got a lovely voice. I wish I had a lovely voice. Why are you worried about their voice? Well, I'm now jealous of their voice. I wish but your task in life is not to sing. Now, anyone can sing in the shower. That's, something else. We can all hum a tune privately. But the reason that person has such a voice is because maybe their role in life was to be a public singer in one way or another. You don't have such a lovely voice? Fine. It's because your role is not to sing. Find your talents. And by finding your talents, you discover your role. And once you discover your role in life, you realize that somebody else's role is not yours. And yours is not theirs. And jealousy falls away. Jealousy falls away. Why should you think or want someone else's talents? So what? So what? The fact that they've got that ability means that they've got their responsibilities to now produce. And by equal measure, you too have your talents. And friends, remember, if you've got talents, it means you've got a responsibility to produce. What are you doing with your gifts? Are you wasting away your talents? That's a crime. That's a crime. Now you'll say to me, I don't know what mine are. Okay, that's fair. That's fair. It takes work to figure that out. It really does. You know what? Somebody just told me about a book. Somebody just told me about a book. I haven't read this book, so please don't rush to buy the book. I can't vouch for the book. Somebody told me that it is a book called Do What You Are. Apparently it was written in the 70s. It's like a international bestseller, millions of copies sold. Have you heard of the Myers-Briggs personality test? Also in the 60s or 70s, and it's an old personality test. You go through a whole bunch of different yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, and they have different quadrants, 1, 2, 3, 4. And based on all of your answers, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, it gives you letters. So you are a IJNP, for example. Have you heard of this? You familiar? You know what? So Google it, Myers-Briggs personality test. And I took one about 15 years ago. I was skeptical. I rolled my eyes. I have to tell you, I answered and I was like, this is me spot on. I was like, almost, it was frightening how perfect, and it gives you're a I don't remember the letters. It was like 15 years ago. You're a NFIP or whatever. I'm making up the letters now. You are this and this and this and this and this, and I'm like, oh my God. It's like you've known me my whole life. It was so incredibly accurate. So using this Myers-Briggs personality test, this
It's called Myers what?
Briggs, Briggs,
Oh,
Myers-Briggs personality test. And
Double G.
yes,
Myers Briggs.
Andrea has been very kind. She's just written the name in the chat. If you go into the chat,
I don't know
you'll
how to forget it. I will not find the chat. I don't know how to go to
okay,
chat.
Myers, M-Y-E-R-S.
Yeah.
Word
Briggs.
Briggs, B-R-I-G-G-S.
I have personal.
So so this book is Do What You Are. You have to know who you are. You have to know who you are so that you can bring your strengths into this world. Okay, let's finish this off. Let's finish this off. Last page. An individual who knows themselves and is aware of their nature, and who knows that whatever God has given them is a wondrous gift, if they will only take advantage of their talents and strengths, they will attain all desirable traits. Such an individual does not suffer from jealousy or envy of another person's lot in life. Do not compare yourself to others. Have faith in your Creator that He has given you all of your spiritual needs. Have enough faith in God that He's given you what you need. Don't say, I need X, I need Y, I want to be taller, I want to be more beautiful, I want to be more confident, I want to be stronger, I want to be... Stop it. Stop. You have gifts, an abundance of them. Have faith in God that He has given you everything that you need. And once you have that faith, you'll stop being jealous. You'll stop the envy. You won't think of other people's lots in life, because you'll be thinking about, how do I empower myself to fulfill my unique job? We'll finish with one last source, okay? He uses a spiritual language here, but the idea is very simple and very down to earth, okay? Don't get lost in his spiritual language. I'll try and translate it. The reason for the constant spiritual upheavals that take place in a person's life is that one's mission is to descend to the lower levels in order to refine and elevate them. This allows the sparks of holiness trapped in those levels to be released and restored to their proper place. This should teach you how careful one should be not to become embittered about the spiritual lot God has bequeathed to you, whether small or great. Or if one feels that they are not as successful in spiritual matters as they might be, or as they should be, or if they feel that they have more challenges dealing with their evil inclination than they should have, they should not become bitter. For one can never know the task that one was sent into this world to perform. One person may have been sent to this world metaphorically to clean the gutters, to purify them of all pollution, and is constantly in a position of unease and constriction, while another person was sent down to adorn the king's chambers and make a crown upon his head, and thereby enjoys all of the comforts of royalty at all times. What this final source is saying is that each and every one of us has a task for which we have been sent down into this earth to accomplish. This world is not about the bumper sticker, he who dies with the most toys wins. This world is not about accumulating money. This world is not about accumulating honor. This world is not about accumulating wealth. This world is about a spiritual battle. Can we perform the task that uniquely is ours, that we have been sent down from heaven to earth to perform? And don't look at other people. You might say, I feel constricted. I feel narrow. I feel anxious. That's also a part of your challenge. That's also a part of your task. Another person, look how happy they are. Look how laid back they are. Look at what a life of ease they live. They've been given a different task. And their task is no easier than yours. It's different than yours. And different people are set up with different lives and different realities. Right. So a question is, what about when other people's responses are negative or toxic? Remember, nothing is happenstance. Nothing is by chance. Nothing is without reason. We find that our very lives have people in it that are challenging us, that are perhaps breaking us down. That too is part of our unique test to be able to become the best version of ourselves, even with people that are making it difficult. That's also part of this challenge. That's also part of this life. And in the process of doing so, really what we're able to achieve is greatness. This is how he finishes the passage. One's heart should never sink because of life's vicissitudes. Rather, they should constantly strengthen themselves. Only God knows the secrets of his plans, giving each individual the appropriate tasks, allowing each individual to repair their spiritual root, and together everyone shall bask in the light of the living God. Nobody can really know ultimately why God is challenging us the way God challenges us. But we can know what our strengths are. We can know what we're good at, and we can explore what is needed in this world. What can I do well, and what needs to be done? And where what you enjoy doing meets what needs to be done, that is where God wants you to be. And when you live your life on that level, when you live your life on that plane, you're living an inspired life. You're living a life of meaning. You're living a life where you feel fully alive. Stop looking at other people. You stop looking at what you don't have. You stop looking about, I wish I could, I wish I would, I wish I had. It disappears. It vanishes. It disintegrates. Suddenly, it's you. And it's the universe, and you're bringing your best self to the world, accomplishing what only you can accomplish. That's where we find greatness. That's where we find God. That's where we find us living an inspired life. Envy disappears, jealousy falls away. We find joy. We find happiness. We find true meaning. And it's there in front of us. Friends, I want you to take this seriously. This is your life. We get one life. Wouldn't it be amazing if we could live our lives on that level? It doesn't matter who you are or where you've been or what your life experiences are or how old you are or what you currently do. That's irrelevant. You right here, right now, with the task that's right in front of you, go. That's all you have to think of. Not yesterday, not last year, not I've made different choices when I was 20. Forget it. You here now. What's in front of you? And the answer, your best life is waiting for you to achieve it, accomplish it, and revel in it, and touch joy, touch meaning. Where what you are good at meets what needs to get done, that is where God needs you to be. And that's living a life of greatness. I'm going to pause here. I hope that that speaks to you. questions or comments, if you want me to send you the source sheet, put your email address in the chat bar. Or Irene, if the chat bar isn't a friend of yours, send me an email.
Send me, man. It's fantastic. I enjoyed it so much, I cannot tell you.
Oh,
Every
God
word was
bless.
special. Such a meaningful lecture, such a good words. Everybody has to know it. But you
God
know what?
bless.
Everybody asks the same, what is my purpose? I'm supposed to have meaningful life, I'm on this earth because God has the purpose. What's my purpose? Everybody somehow questions that.
Right.
But he answered very well. Get to know yourself, check your talents, what are you good for, and you will find it.
Okay, Irene, you're giving the class next month, okay? I love it. Perfect summary.
No, thank you very much. I want to tell you.
God
More
bless you,
than
Irene.
beyond
Everybody,
thanks.
this has been a pleasure. This has been an absolute pleasure. I love learning with you. You have your question? Yes, take yourself off of, I think you're on mute, sir. Oh, no, you're not on mute, but I can't hear you.
You can't hear me?
Oh, no, now I can. Yes, go for it.
I thought I may have heard somewhere at some point that what you're not good at, that you should work harder on to get good at. Is that another point of view?
Always improve yourself.
There is an idea that we can better our weaknesses. Yes. But I would say, in line with everything that I've been saying over these 4 weeks, that's a part of personality improvement.
Okay.
Coming back to my example, I have no patience. I can't stand in line. I should get better at standing in line. I should just work on my patience. But while that's true, your ultimate calling is found connected to your greatest strength.
Okay.
Now, that doesn't mean that we shouldn't work on our negatives. We absolutely should work on our negatives. But the way to find that path forward is to first focus on our greatest strength. Good question.
Thank you,
Okay.
Terry.
All right. Any other questions?
No.
Okay. This was an absolute pleasure. And thank you so much.
Thank you.